Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, Mike's Man Cave. I'm Mike. I created this channel several years ago and I posted a few drone flights on it. Just really didn't mess with it very much, mostly because I didn't have time. I was still working, but as it turns out, I've been able recently to retire, and now I just get the luxury of staying home, fiddling with my projects, which I have many. I've decided to start posting to the channel because a lot of people tell me that they like the little projects that I do and create. I think I'm kind of a inventive personality, so I decided to start recording some of the things that I work on. Get right to the content of today's video, as I plan on doing several in the future. Today's video is going to be working on our 2004 National Tropical T350 motorhome. It's a diesel pusher. It's got a Caterpillar C7 engine, Lawson 6-speed transmission, Freightliner chassis. We bought this about 10 years ago when the kids were still small. We have used it several times, good times and bad times. It's all good until something breaks down, and then that just sucks the life out of the party. So now that I am retired and do have time to mess with things like this, which my family constantly reminds me of, I have time for everything now. I've decided to start working on this thing, getting it back to roadworthy, and just try to get on top of all the little issues that I've had with it over the years. And hopefully next time we take her out, it'll be a pleasant experience. I have a fairly extensive mental list of things I intend to do to this unit, but I can only do one thing at a time, and this is where I've decided to start. I've always had issues with this battery compartment and the batteries in general. I have power to the unit, but I leave it turned off because if I just let the inverter and the built-in battery charger maintain the batteries, it tends to cook all the water out of them, and it's very cumbersome right now to get in here and get access to the batteries to replenish the water. So my purpose of, or what I intend to do with these battery banks now, is to, one, upgrade the trays, make them easier to access, upgrade the cabling so I'm not pulling 5 or 6 or 8 cables out along with the battery bank to gain access to it. And I also want to add battery disconnect switches to completely isolate the battery banks and put them on a maintenance type charger. I think that will solve my problems. I know I'll still have to check the fluid levels in them, but that should solve my issues with overcharging and cooking batteries. These batteries are a couple of years old. I'm not sure. They've ran down considerably. I don't know if they've reached the 50% mark, which is where lead acid batteries are supposed to fail. Part of what I'm doing is I will be recharging the batteries to full capacity and testing each of them individually to see if they're still good. My little helper is here, Paisley. So I'll try to make this as informative as I can. I'm sure there's critics out there will probably rip me on a few of the ways that I do things, which is fine. I'm always open to suggestions. So I guess I will start with this bottom, which is the chassis set. I've had problems with these drawers flying open while you're going down the road. Not a good experience. You can see a few mice in here too. It's hard to pull these things out because of all these cables attached to them. So the plan is to install bus bars and then give me some really flexible welding cable to attach, so I won't have the extra snagging of the cables to prevent pulling these things out. First thing I'm doing now is, any project I always have to order parts. So basically I am creating a parts list. So I guess I need to do a cable count. Looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cables on to my positive side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can see that, that might be an issue. Broken wire. probably from movement. Forgive me, I am new at this. The filming part. Broken wire on my negative. Not really sure what that feeds. Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like probably 6 wires going to my negative side, 7 to my positive. My battery tray is 14 deep, 14 wide. And of course, I know you get the bus bars and the switch and the cable. Looks like I've got about 1 foot of motion, 12 inches. I can leave those out. This top set is my house bank or coach bank. See that? Hopefully you can see that. Issue with even getting them out of the compartment because of all this heavy cabling that gets drug along with them. If you can see up in there now, got 1 cable back at the very back that is hung up. Focus. Anyway, so this is preventing me from gaining complete access to this, to the batteries in this compartment. And we're going to fix that. All right. For these batteries, looks like the wiring is a little bit more simple. Looks like I have 1 main ground, positive cables. I have 2. This connector is actually a temperature sensor, so that'll stay where it's at. It's basically a phone cable, 4 conductor, I think, maybe 2. Positive, I have 2 cables. Negative, I have 1, but they're both good size. For my tray, 22.5 wide, 17.5 deep. Wide. Motion, I can't really tell because it won't come out all the way. I've got now, I think I've probably got in the neighborhood of 20 inches of motion, 20 or 21. All right, I'm going to take these, head up to the computer, see what parts I can find. I can get them ordered. Then once the parts come in and I start work, I'll resume the video. See you soon. Hey everybody, it's been a few days. I've got a lot of parts in the mail. Not everything, but enough to at least start on this little project. I'm going to begin by, as I stated earlier, I'm going to remove all of the batteries. I'm going to take them in, get them fully charged, and I will test and see what is good and what is not good. And while the batteries are out, I'll start replacing the trays, start putting in my bus bars. Lots of good times ahead. All right, there is our compartment, minus the batteries. Looks like I've got a little bit of cleaning up to do. There's all the batteries. I want to take them in the garage where I can more comfortably charge and test. And we will be back whenever I start the reassembly process. All right, it's been several days. Got all my parts in a while back, but our weather has not been cooperating. It has been unseasonably cool the last few days, plus rain. It's warmed up. The rain is gone for now. It's quite windy. Anyway, in a absence, I did get time to clean the, take the old battery trays out, sanded everything down, repainted. Now we're ready to stick some new parts in this compartment. Yeah, it doesn't look, it looks a lot better than it did. It could look better, but hey, it's a battery compartment. So let me get my stuff set up, get you guys on a stand so I can do some work, and we'll see what we can get done today. Okay, I have retrieved all my parts from the garage. Try to get everything in frame so you can see. Right now, I'm kind of limited for space in here, so I'm just test fitting anything or everything. I don't have the trays bolted down yet. There's my disconnect switches I've got. But really tight for the coach batteries. They go up there. That's the 4 golf cart batteries. I'm coming to the conclusion that I'm probably going to have to mount my disconnects down here. Of course, they'll be labeled, and the top one will be for the top set of batteries, bottom one. So yeah, this is probably my best bet for getting this done. I've also got a charger to mount in here someplace too, and I think I've got room down here because there's only 2 coach batteries. So I think my charger, external charger, and main battery maintainer will go here. And I've got plenty of wire to run everything up. So as I get into each step, I'm not going to record this thing all the way through because it would be just ridiculously long, because I figure I'll be out here for hours. So as I do each important step, I'll jump back on, show my progress, etc., etc. Interesting little twist here. I've been going through separating all my wires. These are all my negatives for the chassis pack. These are all my positives. I haven't quite got all those separated yet. I came across a wire that, if you guys can see that or not, looks like it broke off of a connector. It was packed in, zip tied in with the ground wires. I think it came off of that right there. Okay. I do not have a connector that will fit with a 5/16 hole to go on my bus bar. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use one of these horrible splice connectors. I mean, it is just a ground, and before it wasn't connected to anything. I don't know when it broke. I didn't notice anything as far as the chassis goes that was not functioning. These are all chassis wires. So I am going to reinstall it. One of those cables there, one of those wires, and go ahead and see if I can get my bus bars mounted and start sorting out this this wiring mess. Okay, a few more steps into this. It's really difficult for me to do this and hold the phone or get the phone propped up in here, and I'm kind of a big fella. I pretty much fill this compartment up when I'm in here working on it. Anyway, aside from that, for the house batteries or the coach batteries, I decided I didn't really need a bus bar since I only had 2 positive cables and I've only got the 1 negative cable, and it's actually long enough and should provide enough flexibility to move in and out easily with the batteries. This little guy here, the disconnect, I'm going to have to create a cable, and I will video that to go from the disconnect over to the battery bank whenever I get that in there. I'm leaving the drawer out for the time being, the shelf, so I can mount my stuff down here for the chassis batteries. I've gotten my bus bar in place. I'm going to have plenty of room around this one. So this disconnect switch will mount right there with a short cable running over to the bus bar, and then all of those cables going to the bus bar. I will put a negative bus bar on this side, have all these cables attached to that with I need to make a cable for that to reach the negative post of the batteries. So I'll get a little bit further into this, and then I'll see about recording some more. I'm going to try to record exactly how I'm mounting this stuff. What I'm using are fasteners that are called nut rivets or rivet nuts. Some of you might be familiar with them. They are kind of similar to pop rivets, but
I didn't use pop rivets in this instance because I cannot reach the back side of this metal. And what I like to do with pop rivets is always put a washer on the back side of it before I use the tool to compress the rivet. But if you're not familiar with these, they work they're very similar. Just put your rivet on your tool, insert it into the hole, and as you squeeze the tool, it actually collapses the sleeve of the rivet, pulling the threaded part closer to you. And of course it messes up when I'm trying to film it. I might have got lucky and got it in there. No. Well, there's a good example of, you can see how it compresses. I'm going to try to focus. I'll try to get, maybe salvage this one. No, this one just... Well, let me scrap that. I'll try a new one. I didn't buy a very large package of these. I didn't think I needed very many of them, and they are a little on the pricey side. I don't remember the exact amount. But let's try this again. And part of the thing is my camera's in the way. Cut. Okay, what had happened was my insert was backing out of the tool. So, get that in there again. Get it lined up. Ooh. Alright, I think it took that time. These inserts are left-handed thread. I just bought this tool, so it's the first time with me using it. I guess I'll have to learn to start checking that insert, make sure it's not coming loose. But anyway, 8 30-second machine screw is what I'm using. Now, I'm not going to really tighten this thing down. I'm just holding it in place and using it as a template to drill my other 2 screw holes. So when I get this mounted and my negative bus bar on that side mounted, I'll start recording again. Okay, I've got my negative bus bar in. I just need to get those big, thick, heavy cables over here. And decide which one of these lugs I want to leave open for the wire that goes to the battery. So let's see what we got. These are, especially this one, that is kind of a pain to work with. Oh. All right, cut. Apparently I didn't get that anchor, that rivet in successfully. I'll be back. Okay, take 2 or 3 or whatever take it is. Yeah, for some reason that nut did just not expand correctly. Maybe I had it, I don't know. Could have been a bar of metal in the hole on the other side of the hole or something. Something was off. Anyway, thing seems to be on there pretty good now. So let's try this again. I'm guessing that several of these can go on the same plug, considering they were all on the battery previously. Enough on there. Just all lined up on this one. Oh, bear with me. I am not left-handed. I struggle with doing anything with my left hand. Come on, dude, get on there. Yay. All right. Just make this a little faster. Well, my tongue pulled out again. Really getting frustrated. I might just start over and make a new hole for that. One seems to be holding fine, and I haven't really had trouble with the other one. That one's in good. I am wondering if I got my hole somehow too big. Or maybe I just got into some thicker metal there. We'll try one more time. Starting around low on these. thread this one in. Give it plenty of room to expand. It feels like it's in there good. Goats are tore up about something. Might be part of my problem. Somehow I got the hole off a little bit, which is unfortunate. There, I'm off quite a bit. Well, when all else fails, we'll choose plan B. If you're wondering, plan B is a self-tapping screw. I thought it was a magnetic holder, but it's not. Self-tappers are okay in some cases. I'm not a huge fan. I really don't want to have to take all these cables back off of that. I think I got it. All right, give me that back. Okay. Back in action. Don't get those confused. All right. Now my battery cable will go there on that lug. Dust this out just a little bit for starters. guys set up a little different place and bring in the battery tray. Okay. Now, I did a test fit of this earlier, and to further facilitate getting access to the batteries, because remember, there'll be another rack of batteries here. I want to go ahead and pull this as close to the front as I can get it without it obstructing the door. The door stops at this seal. This should be more than sufficient space. So we get set up and do some drilling and some bolting. What I've bought to anchor these trays with is 1/4 inch by 3/4 inch hex bolts, grade 5. I mean, not the strongest you can buy, but should be more than sufficient for this. Also got 1/4 inch lock washers, or lock nuts, and washers. Now I have to drill some holes. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Let's see if I can get some light on the subject. This tray, very well designed, so you can line it up and drill the holes straight through with the tray closed. Still need to do the 2 more bolts in the back. Oh, that's much nicer. Much nicer than the old one. I like it. All right, let me get the 2 bolts in the back drilled and installed, and then we'll come back for the top tray. All right, I'm going to attempt to make my first cable. More new tools. I didn't have anything that would crimp a cable of this size. This is 4/0 welding cable. It's huge, but it's very flexible. It's huge to the point I don't really have anything to cut it with other than a Sawzall, so I want to try that on for size. A tool, metal cutting blade, it should do just fine. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it'll work. Whoop, move you guys. All right, so what I'm going to do, I guess you guys can see this. To strip this down, I want to make a little mark on my insulation. We'll
I'll do that on both ends, just so I know that I am stripping the insulation back to the correct spot. Just going to use a utility knife because I don't have anything for this size wire. I don't normally use this size wire in anything that I do. But everything about this wire is very soft and pliable, including the insulation. Turned out pretty good. I'm trying to do this without cutting any of those conductors. So, put this up here where it'll be easier for me to work on it and for you guys to see. Let me make sure that, yep, okay. Oh, looks like I make sure I get all those little strands. Whoop, almost forgot. Well, I can put it on from the other end. This came with heat shrink as well, so I will be utilizing the heat shrink on it just to make a neater and safer job, especially since this is the positive side. All them little guys aren't, some of them don't want to go in the hole. Stripped down a little too far, but that's okay. I guess it really matters how I do this, but bought this crimping tool. It's hydraulic. Brand name is AMZ CNC. It's a YQK-70. You guys can see that. This is my first time using this, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so far not going very well. There we go. Got a little knob on it. Works just like a hydraulic jack. Okay, I have pumped that until I can no longer pump it. Well, it's definitely not coming off of there. And that is the goal. Alright, let me put 2 pieces of heat shrink on this. Guessing it takes the larger size. We're going to do this without disturbing any of those little conductors. That is very, very, very fine wire. note to self. The next cable, I'm going to actually put the heat shrink on before I even cut the insulation. This is going to go up. Yep. Couple little stray wires, you gotta watch that. Well, let's just go ahead and, while we're on this end, I've got a heat gun and everything, but this will be just as good and a lot quicker. Even though it does leave the kind of the burn mark on the wire or on the heat shrink. All right. Well, it looks like a done deal. Okay, I jumped ahead a little bit. Didn't record all of the steps, but where I'm at now, I've got that side done from the bus bar to the disconnect. I need to take a measurement once I get the batteries in place and create a cable from the disconnect to the battery. This side, I don't know where I stopped the last video at. I do have the bus bar in. I got all of my negatives attached to it. That's it's quite a spider web. I do have my charger / maintainer installed. So I will need to also create a cable for the negative side. This post back here, back to the bus bar. And I will resume whenever I get those made up. Okay, another little jump ahead there. Got the batteries in, tie down straps on. The operation of the drawer is wonderful, especially compared to the old setup. Went ahead and got my negative cable tied to the battery pack and the bus bar. And now I have just finished the cable for my positive side, so I'm going to see if I can get that installed. And we should be powered up again, at least as far as the chassis is concerned. To the battery post. No spark, so that tells me my disconnect is functioning. Alrighty, this is so much nicer than the old setup. I swear, I can't, words can't describe it. These rubber caps on, just kind of for licks. Did I get them mixed up? That one might actually, that goes down on there pretty good. Alright, now for the big test. Looks like the cables are in good shape. This This tray has a very nice positive lock mechanism on it. My old quickie ones, they were just past their prime. All right, get you guys back set up a little bit. I will go ahead and these switches actually come with labels, so I put the start label on this one. And we'll go ahead and connect it, and we'll turn it on and see if anything blows up. Screwdriver. Crazy about, well, that's kind of a rounded corner. It should be okay. All right, moment of truth. I should have power to the to the chassis. Okay, doing a little bit of a test fitting here to see. I guess I really should have put that disconnect down there. I just didn't want to have all that excessive wire running. It will work up here. The problem is I'll have to put the tray in a little deeper and shift it all the way over to the right. Additionally, to service these batteries, I will have to take a screwdriver and pop this little cover off of that. To get room. See, I don't want to, but it will slide out. It's not bolted down yet. I don't want to bring this thing out and drop it in my lap. Okay, this tray is now mounted. So I will see if I can get these batteries in here and hooked up. Still kind of tight. This tray's sets a little bit taller off of that lip than the old one did. I don't know if you guys can get you down here to see a little bit. Yeah, I see that gap right here. That wasn't there on the old trays. Not complaining. I like these new ones a lot better, but it is going to be challenging to get things hooked up. So I'm going to try to set you guys where you can see. See if I can't get these things wrestled in here and hooked up. It's going to be fun. I think they go that way. We got a negative terminal, positive terminal. Bear with me lifting these things in here. You're probably going to hear strange sounds and yeah. Good. Well, attempting to put them in. Ooh. Dang, those things are heavy. I'll tell you what, this is going to be
This is going to be a ton of fun. That is a lot of weight. Oh, let's see what I've done. I think this one is backwards. Bear with me. Cut. Be right back. All right. Sorry about that. I had to get those terminals back in the back. The cables hooked in. I didn't see any sense in filming that because I knew you guys wouldn't be able to see what I was doing. I couldn't even see what I was doing. So, what I've done, these batteries are, I'm really tight for space now. I didn't anticipate that, but it's okay. I've oriented all four of these batteries the same way. What I have to do, these are 6 volt, but I'm running 12 volts. So what I have to do is run these two in series to make a 12 volt, and these two in series to make a 12 volt, and then I will parallel the two packs to just basically provide a lot more amperage. Now I will install these little jumpers. I'm working back to front. Makes the most sense to me. And this is just, these are going from negative on this battery to positive on that battery, is all it's doing. Ain't right. I made brief contact with that bolt earlier when I was working on that connection back there, and had a little brief episode of arc welding. I guess it kind of tried to tack that nut in place on that stud. My bad.
else can, yeah, you can kind of see what I'm doing. Getting almost to the end of this project. Okay, now I will tie, that's the series part. I've already done the negative parallel part. This will be the positive parallel part. Does that make sense? Hopefully. And that will be, also have to add this. This looks like a positive cable, but if you pull it apart and look, it's actually, it's like phone line, a little bigger. This is a temperature sensor for the Xantrax inverter charger. And it, in theory, senses if the batteries are overcharging by getting too hot, and it will adjust itself accordingly. At least that's the plan. But it will not, it will definitely overcharge if this thing's not functioning, because I've had to, my last set of batteries, I don't remember how I tested that, but there is a way to test it, and it came out no good. So, what I'm going to do now, what I'm going to do is tighten that up again. I need to twist it around where I can get it on this other side. This is, it's more like conventional battery cable. It's a little on the thick and heavy. Now I will have to attach my main positive to the coach on this terminal, so I'm not going to tighten that up. I'll still have to make that cable. So what I'm going to do, this thing is in the full extended. I'm going to first thing I'm going to do is find my tape measure. Maybe. Okay, I left it in the garage. Pause. I'll be right back. Okay. I measured out. So if you look back there, I'm going to move that cable that's on that switch down to the bottom lug, because that top lug is pretty much even with the top of my batteries. So really all I got to do is measure carefully. Metal tape measures. Metal tape measures and electricity don't want to play together. Looks like I'm going to be able to get by with. I'm going to leave myself some slack because I might want to run that. I don't know which way I'm going to run it. Let's call that a 17-inch cable. Let me go make that. I'll be right back. It's going. Just hold on. Don't get in front of the camera. Kind of zoom in on that corner up there if you can. Up here. You see where I'm pointing? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. All the cables are in, connected. Big moment of truth here. As soon as I can find my switch cover. It's unfortunate that I can't pull the batteries out with this switch cover in place, but I will just, so I'm just going to have to work around. I can't even get it. That is a really big cable. Oh, maybe if I move that, it'll help. Hey, well, you know. Yeah, I'll have to move those cables around just a touch. This might take a couple tries to get it. Be very careful not to short anything out. Oh, we're almost there. All right. Put these in. All right, let's see if anything blows up. That's a good sign. Let's see if still have to run these other charging cables up. Not a big deal. I will probably do that later. It's getting late in the day and I've got some other stuff to tend to. So I did not record it, but all I did to wrap up was connect my battery maintainer to the two different battery banks. And then zip tied everything to make it nice and pretty. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will be putting out some more shortly. Thanks for watching.